for the most part, I'm very big on getting the veggies in, getting the whole nutritious foods in, and for clients maybe I'll start them out with a certain amount of bad foods that they can eat, and then kind of just sort of educate them on, or maybe prompt them to kind of pay attention to how those foods make them feel, and then tell them it's still up to you. But you make that decision as to whether you feel like you want to put that in your body and have the consequences if there are any.
I like what you're saying with that, because if you take it away from somebody, they immediately, like a little kid, a little kid takes a toy away from another little kid and the kid freaks out. But if the kid takes away a toy from another little kid, but there's another toy right there, it's all good, So you're still leaving them with an option. Hey, you could still go towards that. That's perfectly fine, but pay attention to it. Let me know how it makes you feel. And a lot of times a few weeks go by and a few months go by, people get more consistent. They're more into their workout and they want to see results a little faster. They'll probably kick it to the side on their own.
Yeah, that's one of the Jedi mind tricks I've picked up, is that eventually they kind of end up doing what is best for them anyways, because if you prompt somebody to kind of just pay attention, chances are they just haven't been paying attention most of the time. And so when they start paying attention, now this doesn't happen every time, but maybe 9 times out of 10, they're like, oh man, I had that chocolate donut last night and this morning I just feel puffy and I don't feel like I want to train. And I wasn't as strong in the gym, and maybe it's placebo, but maybe not, and if it is placebo, then, or nocebo in that effect, it's still real to them. Right. So, 9 times out of 10, I find that they're like, yeah, I'm just going to throw that away and have something a little bit more nutritious. One
thing I like too is just to overeat, So you said you made this small change towards healthier foods. And we know that like if you just gorge yourself on food, like your weight loss probably won't happen, right? Mm-hmm. However, I think that when you go from being a bigger person and you're trying to be smaller, you're trying to lose weight, I think sometimes it makes sense just to have at it, just to eat, so that way you feel comfortable. Over a period of time, you can worry about like, okay, I'm going to start to restrict. But what I see most people doing, you said you had made the conscious decision of like, I'm going to ingrain new habits and I'm going to change my life. And I see a lot of people, they have that conversation with themselves, but they're like, okay, Monday, I'm doing cardio. I'm getting to the gym at 5 a.m. and I'm not going to eat any carbs. And they throw so many things at themselves at one time. And I really like that you're saying like, you just baby stepped it along, just one step at a time.
You mentioned that you went too far the other way as far as your flexible dieting was concerned, right? So what do you think people that pick up flexible dieting are getting wrong? Because even I did that back in the day. You know what I mean? I was like, I can make this fit. I can make this full pint of Ben and Jerry's fit. Let's do it, right? Mm-hmm. But I then realized it didn't make me feel good. Mm-hmm. I was my shits were gurgly and it was not good. So what do you think people are getting wrong about when they pick up flexible dieting? Because it's definitely marketed like, a diet where you could eat anything as long as it fits.
Well, I think that for a lot of people, that amount of freedom or like that amount of power almost, it's like it gets to their head almost. And it's kind of like if you buy a brand new sports car and then you think like, I could just tear it up. I'm going to, get on the highway and just go as fast as I can. And then they pick up a bunch of speeding tickets and then they're like, oh, maybe it's not the best idea to do that. Maybe I need to pick my spots of when I'm going to, let loose on this. Maybe I'll take it to the track instead, from time to time. So I think maybe, and I guess there are some people out there who still can go hog wild all the time with their diet and maybe they don't feel it now and maybe they'll feel it one day or maybe they just won't ever feel it. But I think what they're getting maybe wrong is just that, it's almost like they've ignored principles for tactics. So the tactic of flexible dieting or counting your macros doesn't trump the principles of nutrition. And I see that a lot actually, even with training or anything, is people get hung up on like a particular tactic or a particular trend. And they kind of ignore like, okay, but does that make sense from like a physiological standpoint or, a scientific basis, does it really make sense as being good for the long term? So I guess that's what I would say as the answer to your question.
Yeah, I think, one thing that, eating a bunch of ice cream or something like that might do is it might take away the fact that you could have otherwise had something more nutritious. Mm-hmm. So in my opinion, it ends up being kind of like a double negative rather than just being negative on its own, rather than it just being maybe a food that you maybe shouldn't have eaten. It's also the fact that you could have eaten something more optimal to get you more towards your goal. The important thing to keep in mind, though, is that you need to have some sort of balance so that you can continue onward. So the flexible dieters and versus the keto people, a lot of keto people will say, and this is kind of traditional keto, every 3 days or once a week, depending on the protocol, you go very, very low carb. And sometimes it would be after a period of doing a few weeks of low carb to get yourself into ketosis. And they would say, Saturday, Sunday, one of those days, just eat whatever you want. And then it kind of switched over into, eating whatever you want for a whole day. That might be too excessive. So maybe you want to, only eat some junk food towards the end of your night or something, the last 2 meals or something like that. What flexible dieting is saying is saying a very similar thing. The ketogenic crowd is reducing calories by just eating less carbohydrates. So they're doing the same thing that the flexible dieting people are doing on a daily basis. They may not track it. They may not be paying attention to it. But just because you didn't count it doesn't mean it does not still counting. There's still a count. There's still a calorie count. There's still a certain amount of energy that you're consuming. And with flexible dieting, the person may say, I'm just going to cheat a little bit every day. I'm going to end the night with a couple cookies or some Chewies, or during my workout today, I'm going to have some Skittles, or when I go see that movie, I'm going to eat the popcorn and maybe get something else, but I'm going to track it, and I'm still going to make sure, because cheating on flexible dieting, the only way to really truly cheat on it would be to overconsume your calorie amount. Mm-hmm. That's kind of the only way you can do it. The only way to cheat on a ketogenic diet would be to eat carbs. And so in both cases, they're trying to allow some room for error. They're trying to allow some room for cheating. It's just that the cheating on flexible dieting is spread out throughout the week. And it's probably most likely going to be maybe less of what the keto person does who diets the whole week.